Have you ever heard of a CEO taking his company's entire cash reserve, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and betting it all on Bitcoin? Well, that's exactly what Michael Saylor did. He's an MIT engineer who, after 30 years of playing by the rules, decided to flip the entire game board over. So, what on earth would make a guy like that trade all his cash for crypto? Let's get into it. To really get inside his head, you have to start with this one kind of scary question he started asking himself. Is your life savings, everything you've worked for, just a melting ice cube? You know, it sits there in your bank account looking all solid and safe, but is it secretly just disappearing second by second? You see, this whole thing kicked off when he had this huge realization that the very money we all trust and use every day is, well, fundamentally broken. The safest asset in the world? Turns out, it might be the riskiest thing you can hold. Check out this number. This is what really changes everything. According to Saylor's research, the US dollar, the supposed winner of all currencies, the one everyone relies on, has lost 99.9% of its value over the last century. Not against another currency, but against the stuff you actually want to buy. I mean, just let that sink in. The winning currency lost basically all of its value.
And this brings us right back to that melting ice cube metaphor. It's the perfect way to think about it. You've got this block of ice, your cash, sitting on the counter. It looks fine, but the room is warm. That's inflation. And slowly, silently, it's turning into a puddle of water. Your financial energy is just evaporating, and most people don't even see it happening.
So, knowing all this is one thing. But what was the final push? What made him actually do something so drastic? Well, that would be the absolutely wild financial crisis that went down in March of 2020. That was the moment this idea went from a theory to a 5-alarm fire. Okay, so picture this. By 2020, Saylor felt like he'd hit a wall. He called his own company a zombie. It was making money, sure, but it wasn't growing. He tried every trick in the business playbook. And here's the crazy part. His personal investments in big tech stocks were making him an absolute fortune with way less work. On top of that, his company was sitting on $500 million in cash that was suddenly paying 0 interest. And with everyone going remote, he was terrified that Google and Apple would just swoop in and steal all his best talent. He was completely and utterly trapped.
And when he looked out at the world, he saw this bizarre split. On one side, you had Main Street just getting decimated. Small businesses were failing, people were losing their jobs, it was a disaster. But on Wall Street, they were having their best year in 3 decades. Stocks, real estate, everything was just exploding upwards. Not because things were good, but because of all the money being printed. The whole system just felt wrong.
And for Saylor, this wasn't just about spreadsheets and market trends. It was deeply personal. He said, I'm watching all these people I care about wiped out, destroyed, jailed, abused, bankrupted, and I have this $500 million asset and the interests go to 0. He basically saw 3 options: a slow death, a fast death, or to get in the ring and fight back.
So yeah, he chose to fight. He launched this urgent, almost desperate search for a safe place to park his company's money, a financial shelter that could withstand this storm. So option 1, real estate. Seems like a safe bet, right? Except he realized that the same exact policies that were destroying his cash had already pumped real estate prices to insane all-time highs. Buying in at the top of the bubble wasn't a solution. It was just jumping from the frying pan into the fire. All right, what about stocks? The stock market was also going through the roof, totally disconnected from what was happening to regular people and businesses. So for Saylor, that was another door slammed shut.
Finally, he looked at gold, the classic safe haven for thousands of years. But remember, he's an engineer. He looks at things from a first principles perspective. And he saw a flaw. The supply of gold actually increases by about 2% every single year. It doesn't sound like much, but over a century, that's a huge loss in value. He saw it as a brilliant 19th century technology, but not the answer for today.
So with every conventional option off the table, he stopped thinking like a CEO and started thinking like that MIT engineer he is. He put on his systems thinking hat and asked a totally different kind of question. Instead of trying to find the best form of money, could we actually engineer perfect money?
And that's the moment he truly discovered Bitcoin. He didn't see it as some weird internet money, he saw it as an engineering upgrade to gold. Think about it. Gold is heavy and has that sneaky 2% inflation. Bitcoin is totally weightless and has a hard fixed cap of 21 million. It's absolutely scarce.
Gold is a pain to move and verify. Bitcoin can be sent anywhere on Earth at nearly the speed of light. To him, it was digital gold perfected.
Now, to explain how this is even possible, Saylor uses this amazing analogy about the guy who solved longitude at sea. See, for centuries, sailors couldn't figure out their longitude because they couldn't build a perfect clock for a ship. The metal parts would expand and shrink with the temperature. But then, this genius clockmaker, John Harrison, had an idea. He built a clock using two different metals that canceled out each other's imperfections. He literally built a perfect machine out of imperfect parts. And that's how Saylor sees Bitcoin, a perfect, unchangeable monetary network built from thousands of messy, imperfect computers all over the world.
So this entire journey, this whole rabbit hole, it forces you to step back and ask an even bigger question. Forget investing for a second. What even is money, really?
Because for Saylor, Bitcoin isn't just one thing. It's an entire system. It's an ideology about truth and being in control of your own property. It's a protocol for sound money, with rules that can't be changed, kind of like the rules of math. It's a decentralized network that actually gets stronger when it's attacked. And this is the engineering part. It's a thermodynamically sound system, meaning it's a closed loop that doesn't leak energy. It's designed to be as reliable as a law of physics.
And that really leaves us with a big idea here. We've always thought of money as this fixed set of rules handed down to us by governments. But what if that's wrong? What if Michael Saylor's journey shows us that money is really just a technology, and just like any other technology, it can be debugged, improved, and eventually upgraded?
A lot of this breakdown came from the What Bitcoin Taught Me podcast, so definitely check that out if you want to go deeper down this rabbit hole. And hey, if you like this explainer, you know what to do. A follow, a like, a share, it all helps. You can find us on X, Nostra, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify, and now on YouTube too. Appreciate you tuning in.